Hey folks, welcome to a very special edition of Table Talk, where we talk about your questions and topics here around a table. I'm Matt Lieberman.
I'm Philip DeFranco.
I'm Sam.
And today we're doing a special version of Table Talk where instead of talking about multiple different topics, we're talking about one specific thing, which is Better Call Saul, parts 1 and 2, the premiere of the show. And we asked you guys what you thought of the premiere at the hashtag SourceFedCallsSaul, and we're gonna see what you guys thought, and we're gonna tell you what we thought of the episode. Yeah.
Boom.
Right off the top though, what did you guys think of the show so far?
I think it's good. I think that it has a lot of promise, and I'm gonna, at the very least, I'm gonna watch it through the first season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Agreed. I'm gonna watch it through the first season. It got me way quicker than Breaking Bad did. The first episode of Breaking Bad did not grab me.
Really?
I watched it, and then 3 months later I picked it back up. And I was like, okay, whatever. All right, I'll see this again. And then at the end of the first season is when I got pulled in. I'm already pulled into Better Call Saul.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was very good.
Wow. Because I feel like most people say, like, the reason that Better Call Saul is gonna have, or was gonna have such a hard time was the first episode of Breaking Bad just pulls.
It was
so
just
many
so
people in.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then again, the rest of the first season of Breaking Bad wasn't that great to me.
Okay.
Like, especially compared to the rest of it. Like, I feel like
Comparatively, I agree. Yeah.
Right. But I feel like the maturity in terms of the storytelling that they were able to achieve over the course of Breaking Bad is serving them really well here. That first episode was a lot of setup, but the second episode just like hit the ground running. And that negotiation scene in the desert was just, it was just beautiful. It was unique.
Yeah.
It was just something I haven't seen before on television, and that makes me really happy. Here, Phil, you haven't been on a table talk in a while. Why don't you
I'll jump
grab
in,
the first
sure.
topic?
Thank you, sir.
Shaggy Taco says, if you needed a lawyer, would you call Saul?
No.
Not at this point? You're not calling
No?
Jimmy?
No, I do not Saul now. I don't trust him.
I would call Jimmy after what he pulled. After what he pulled in that desert, he got a death sentence down to 6 months probation.
You know what? If I only had $700 to my name, yes. Any other situation, no.
Yeah, okay,
Maybe get
that's
someone
fair.
a little more scrupulous.
I'm getting a team.
Yeah.
I'm getting
a whole
a
fleet of lawyers.
the glove don't fit.
Oh, okay. You're getting Hamlin, and McGill. You're not getting Jimmy McGill, a law corporation.
All I know is I don't want magnetism guy.
Yeah.
What was that? I didn't know.
What's going on with Chuck?
I know that it's like a build up and it's weird, but I also don't think I'd put up with it if it wasn't Vince Gilligan setting it up.
Right.
I'd
Well,
be like, shut up.
Well, we looked it up, and it's called electromagnetic sensitivity, and
Okay.
it's a condition that doctors refuse to admit is real because you can't prove that it exists. You can't prove that, there's no way to prove necessarily that people are sensitive to electromagnetism. It could just all be in your head. It is something that is in its core psychosomatic. So we don't know whether or not Chuck actually feels this stuff or if it's all in its head, but either way, Saul, like Jimmy's the only one who's treating him with tough love and is treating him like dude, you can't do this. It's not real. Or like, even if it is real, you need to face facts. You're not going to change.
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know. It bugs me. But that's also, yeah.
No, if it was life or death, like the scene in the desert, then yes, I would call Saul. But prior to nothing else, I would call Saul for. Not at this point in his life.
That's so crazy to me, because like I feel like I never, when they first announced this spin-off, I was like, I don't know how we're supposed to care, because I didn't really care about Saul. I liked him, but
Right. You definitely liked him.
I liked the character, but that first episode did a lot to establish why we can empathize with this guy. He has a lot of empathy for people. Like, granted, he should never have been allowed to become a lawyer, ever. He's just a motor mouth, but like, he could have left those kids to die in the desert, and he didn't. And that's something that I feel like the Saul that we met in Breaking Bad would not have done.
He's just for himself.
Yeah.
At that point, which but I think I also relate to that Saul more than Jimmy.
Than Jimmy? Interesting.
That's my point. But I'm also we talked about it for several seasons. Just I'm a dark person in this fake Vince Gilligan world.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Have you ever launched a topic, Phil?
I have. I've never gotten even close.
Okay.
I've never gotten close.
It's hard.
How many times have you hit it?
I've hit it twice.
That's impressive.
And that's
You hit the camera twice?
I've hit the camera twice.
Congratulations.
Or no. Maybe once. Once, but if
Oh, you may have to delay.
that's hey man, that's actually, but that's like good trajectory though. You're like right under it.
You're gonna be a good dad. You'll be like, you know, that was terrible. Good job. Keep trying.
Put it up on the fridge. Red Vader from Twitter asks, "Is it a good idea to watch this if you barely watched Breaking Bad?"
I mean, you won't. I think you won't be able to appreciate some of the character, like the end of the first episode means nothing to you, right? If you haven't watched Breaking Bad, I would. But also, if you haven't watched Breaking Bad, you kind of have no excuse because I think it's all on Netflix.
Yeah.
So you just marathon through it.
Yeah.
Come on.
But
That's what I did.
if you want to watch this show without watching Breaking Bad, I think that some of the weight of it is going to be missing. But I think you'll still enjoy it if you like black comedy. If you like dark comedy, it's definitely very weird. It's definitely slow. I feel like you'll enjoy it more if you've seen Breaking Bad and you have some idea of what this universe is.
Right.
I was thinking about that too, because as soon as they introduced Tuco at the end of the first episode, I was like, I was like, oh yeah, because the prequel, okay, that makes sense. And but I was trying to think about it because my family hasn't watched it and they were going to watch it. And I'm like, should I explain this to them? Like, do I have to tell them? But watching the second episode, I'm like, okay. He's threatening. He's a dangerous person. He's crazy, and they established that in this show by itself.
Right.
So I think you could. You just wouldn't probably enjoy it as much.
I love the salsa scene.
The salsa.
Like, it's just him and his grandma.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I love this so much.
So we've met his grandma and his grandfather.
Well, no.
that was a different
Tio
relation.
is his uncle.
Uncle.
I made
Met a
that
lot of
same
his family,
mistake. Yeah, I met a lot of his family, but yeah, no. For some reason, she doesn't know anything about what I guess her nephew. What her nephew is up to, or her son?
Her grandson.
Well, no.
I believe,
so her grandson, but then also Hector Salamanca is his uncle. So it's her other son.
Okay.
Dear Lord.
Oh, for God's sake.
This is complicated.
Whatever. All right. Neela at Lanister writes, I haven't watched it yet because I wasn't feeling the trailer. Is it worth investing my time on? I would say absolutely. I think that I was not impressed by the trailer.
No, I was not
And
either.
the first episode, I was like, okay. But the second episode was really awesome. And I think a big part of that was the introduction of Nacho, this new character played by Michael Mando, who is really intelligent. Really intelligent, but he's also under Tuco.
Right.
And the thing that fascinates me the most is we never saw him in Breaking Bad, which means at some point this dude is going to overstep and he's going to get killed.
Yeah,
Or something.
Or
Something's
something.
going to happen.
Something is going to happen to
You'll
him.
have to
The
exit.
mystery of why he's no longer around is very fascinating.
Well, that's one of the most interesting things about the series, with it being a prequel series. You know Saul is going to be fine.
Right.
So Saul's going to be fine, but like the scene in the desert where the negotiation happens that ultimately goes down to legs being broken. You know, that's interesting because those guys are vulnerable. You know, Nacho is vulnerable, even though Tuco is not. You know, like, so it's very interesting because in Breaking
Sorry,
you hit him.
Sorry,
No, but it's very interesting because where in Breaking Bad only Walt was kind of going to be the guy that was untouchable. He could be in a hard place but never dead until, you know, whenever. Like if the series were to end. I like that I'm trying not to possibly spoil anything. But yeah, it's just so interesting because there are these pillars that can't go down, but everything around
That's
them
what I was thinking,
stare
You have your constants, but you're like, and you get
Is that
invested.
you?
That's me.
That's twice.
That's so
unforgivable.
unprofessional.
God dang
That's
it.
unforgivable. What's the
You know,
punishment? What's the punishment that fits the crime, Sam?
Skin him. That's
Skin
that's
him.
what that was fair.
Whoa!
That was
let's
fair,
let's
right?
hold on. How did we get to skin? Let's dial it back. How about just a black eye? Anything?
We spiderweb his phone.
There we go.
There we go. That'll go viral, right?
Oh my god. That'll go viral.
Boom.
That was the last time we saw him.
Yeah. No, but I think you brought up that point of Saul's untouchable. He has to live through this series, making sure that in that first episode we set up the fact that he is empathetic, and that he cares about other people, and that he cares about Chuck, that he has people to care about, is very important because since there is no stakes with his life, making sure that we feel the stakes of him dealing with other people's lives and potentially costing people their lives is what's going to be important here, and that's what we felt in the desert.
Yeah, I think the ultimate death that we're going to see in this series is going to be Saul's moral compass. It's just going to go to shit because he's same thing with Walt. He's tinkering with something that's dark, and it's going to consume him. Not probably to that degree.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Does that kind of bum you out a little bit when I watch this and I'm seeing that and I kind of figured out, I mean, most people can figure out, it's kind of the same structure as Breaking Bad. And I'm like, Breaking Bad was great because it was original and it was refreshing, but it's like, are we going to just watch that same exact thing happen again? Watch somebody go down this dark path and end up miserable at the end of it? Is that what we're going to do? And we're just gonna watch that 5th season basically stretched out for a whole series of like him getting, you get, excuse me, flash forwards of him being sad and depressed, and then you just watch how he ended up there. Like, is that what the whole series is gonna be?
I think that that's kind of a simplistic view of it. I don't think that it's the same show.
It isn't. But I mean, it's still like, it's a very depressing spiral into madness and depression.
Right. Well, so I mean, if you compare Breaking Bad's good guy goes to bad guy,
right?
You know, that's that. But Saul doesn't. I feel like he never fully becomes that guy. He's a guy that is, I don't know if you would say like self-serving and chaotic neutral. You know, at the end of the day, right now he's still somewhat good, even though he's a scumbag.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think that it's different enough. That said, we were only 2 episodes in.
Exactly.
You know, I feel like we'll have a better idea at the end of the 1st season.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I think there's also a lot of joy in the fact that they can Back to the Future Part 2 this. They've talked about like going through and showing us some of the events of Breaking Bad from Saul's perspective, because we never saw any of his outside life. We never saw him outside of that office. So we don't know if Chuck was still alive. We don't know if he had other clients. We don't know what else he was dealing with. We don't know if he had a wife. We don't know any of that stuff. It could have been entirely possible that whole events that we saw in Breaking Bad could be applied in new context and blow our minds.
Yeah.
Okay.
That could be really cool.
Yeah. And also, we might get a whole part of that like sequel sequence, you know, like we had at the top of the 1st episode.
That's what I was wondering.
That's not just like flash forwards of him being sad, but like playing out a series of events where he does get discovered in Witsec and something terrible happens and he has to escape. We don't know. That's like the beauty of this series just starting, is it can go anywhere.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. And I also don't know how much of the future stuff I want.
Yeah.
Because I know it was definitely cool to see it.
Yeah.
And I think it knocked out probably all the questions that they knew that they were going to get about him in the future. But I don't know. I feel like it served well. He's in this dark place in the future, which you kind of knew was going to happen.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm waiting to see more.
I thought he'd land a little bit more on his feet. Like, he is like in witness protection or whatever, but I thought he would just do a little bit better.
But he even said it. He was like, you fucking blew everything up.
Yeah.
No one's safe now. Like, I have to go off into the sunset and...
Manages Cinnabon.
Barely manage. I don't think he manages it.
He's the manager.
Oh.
He's Gene the manager.
Gene the manager.
Gene the manager.
It's so sad. I don't know if there's anything. If the Cinnabon was in an airport, it might be a little bit sadder.
A little bit sadder. All right, Rhino Balls. Rhino Balls writes, how do you feel so far about Bob Odenkirk's performance in a lead role?
Solid. Yeah. I think the desert scene locked it.
Yeah.
You know?
Very impressive.
Yeah, I feel like for most people, I think that desert scene is gonna be the moment. Because him in the garage, it's okay. Him with a salsa carpet is okay. That's where he really shines, and I'm hoping that we see more and more of him like that.
I started to get hooked when the guys originally tried to scam him when they jumped in front of his car. Did you hit it?
No, but it was like right in front of you, saw
it grazed. It grazed.
Yeah. When they tried to scam him originally, I'm like, come on, Saul, you know this. Come on, you know this. And it's like, of course, he figured it out immediately. And I'm like, okay, all right, it was a good start. And then, of course, the desert scene was the nail in the coffin. It was great.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because like in an interview a few years ago, he said that his performance on Breaking Bad was originally just an impression of Robert Evans, who was this like 70s Uber film producer who produced The Godfather. He was the head of Paramount, huge coke head, and now it's like such like an amazing performance. Like the examples you guys are bringing up, absolutely, but also the scene between him and Chuck in the pilot, like where he's trying to get him to, you know, go after this $17 million. I never expected to feel for this guy, and I started to feel for him in that first episode. Yeah. So yeah, I'm really impressed.
I feel like the standout though is, and it's going to depend on if he stays alive in the series though, is Nacho.
Yeah, Michael Mando.
Easily the best acting in the series so far, and I don't know, I think he's the same guy that played one of the villains in Far Cry 3.
Oh, cool. Oh, really?
Yeah, and he was awesome in that. So I'm really excited to see like just his intensity, because we've seen him calm. Yeah. But I want to see him lose his shit.
Yeah, he was on the show Orphan Black for 2 seasons.
Really? That's cool.
That's where I've seen him.
He's Vic.
Yeah. Wow.
He lost like a bunch of weight.
Yeah, he's great in that.
Yeah. He's great in that, but this is an entirely different character.
Oh, totally.
He's like working on a whole other level here. I'm so excited.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I was nervous for Bob Odenkirk because that, like you said, that commercial for it when he's doing like that overly dramatic speech.
Will atone.
Yeah, when he was doing that, I was like, wait, are we really? Like, is he actually doing that? And then in the show, it worked out that he was just doing a bit. But like, I'm very impressed by him because I hadn't, besides Breaking Bad, he was great, but I had no other thing as like a way of, like a barometer to figure out if he's good or not. So I'm excited for him. Yeah. I've been holding a sneeze for like 15 minutes.
Oh no!
I'm also intrigued to see how popular the show is, because obviously the first episode breaks ratings, but also has Walking Dead as a lead-in.
It's true.
Which is a great lead-in.
Yeah,
that's a solid lead-in where all of a sudden Talking Dead has to wait an hour. They're just like, we'll talk about what happened.
I don't know.
I'm hoping. I'm looking forward though to the rest of the season.
Yeah, me too. Well, folks, what did you think of the Better Call Saul premiere? Did you watch it? Are you gonna watch it? Are you gonna watch the series maybe after a few more episodes air? Let us know down in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching Table Talk. I'm Matt Lieberman.
I'm Philip DeFranco.
I'm Sam. Don't forget, you can get it for free on iTunes right now if you go quick.
Yeah, you can get that first episode.
All these other places.
Yeah. And continue to submit your topics and questions at the hashtag Table Talk and the Reddit /r/SourceFed.
I'm gonna go puke up all my snot.
Please don't do that. That defies nature. That defies all of nature.
It seemed like I was giving that. I was like, guys, yeah, keep going to the bucket, but you touched in there, and I was like, nope.